Greetings, I'm Barrett and welcome to Meet Me at the Table. Today we're going to continue our playthrough in Renaissance Italy. We're going to be continuing our adventure for our 4 characters. We're going to see what transpires in the next mission. We were able to get through the first one and now we're moving into the second mission. But before we go through the second mission, there is a rest phase we have to do and then a travel phase as well. Then we're going to get into the next mission. So there's a big amount of stuff coming up. I'm super excited to continue this playthrough. If you're excited to see how our characters fare in Renaissance Italy, then I need you to meet me at the table. Our rest phase will begin in Rome. That is where the last adventure ended. And then once we're done with that, we'll be traveling to our next destination, Spoleto. And it is going to have a number 3 here. That is going to be our travel phase. We'll have to remember this number moving into that. And I'll discuss the travel phase when we get to it. But for now, we're going to do a rest phase in Rome. Here's the Destiny board. It is just the backside of the Italian map, the map of Italy. And there's a lot going on here. I'm going to try to cover as much of this as I can. Now, sadly, there's not a lot for us to do after the first mission in the rest phase, but moving forward, there should be a lot of things that we can actually do. Before we go too far into it and you start the rest phase, there's a few things you have to check. The first thing is you need to find out how you're doing on your Destiny cards. If you have reached a certain Destiny number and or have enough experience, you can be able to change to an advanced class at this time. Also, you can spend any of your experience points before the rest phase for your character to be able to learn new skills. All of our characters do have 1 experience point, and we are going to spend all of our experience points for our characters. And in the Patreon, I asked my Patreon supporters what we should take for our classes. It's one of the perks I give the Patreon supporters is to be able to help us decide how our characters move forward in the game, giving them the ability to help me decide how the game transpires. Also, we have to check the end of our mission, and it tells us if we're going to a town or telling us we're going to a city. We're going to Rome, which if there's a city in Italy, it's probably Rome. So we're going to be looking at all of these up here, the little symbols for cities, to determine some of the things that are going on inside of our rest phase. When we do decide what we want to do, we're going to have to choose, each of us decides where we want to go. Now, of course, if you're playing multiple players, you're going to want to talk about this and decide where you think the most beneficial place for each character to go would be. And then you're going to place your model in those particular places, and then you're going to mutually decide in what order you want to actually resolve all of these things. Now, since I'm playing solo, I'll just decide 4 things and we'll figure out what we're going to do for those. One last thing I want to point out is if you notice there's a 1 here for the town and a 2 for the city. That's telling you how many people can actually visit that during the rest phase. Now, of course, we can all only visit 1 place. Once we've resolved all 4 of the things we can do in those places, then we're going to be moving out of the rest phase. At this point, I do want to show you at least what all these are going to be able to do, though I don't think we can take advantage of too many of these. It does say a hero may find spiritual comfort at the church by leaving a small donation for the poor. And the abilities we get here is that each hero who visits the church may pay 4 florins, erasing them from the campaign sheet. And if they do, the next mission, they'll start with a blessed token. Companions cannot visit the church, only characters that you are playing at full power. Next, we have the surgeon here. We can visit the surgeon. It's to get rid of any of our injuries received during the mission. We didn't get any injuries, so we don't have to worry about that. But you can pay the injury assigned to in florins to the card that had the injury on it to get rid of it. The barracks is a place where we can hire companions, or we can also hire mercenaries to help us out in some of the upcoming adventures. Now, of course, I don't have any money, so I'm not going to be doing anything of that nature, but something you can do in the future. The market is a great place to be able to buy and sell regions, so if you're interested in trying to create a certain item for yourself, you can sell some of them to be able to buy other ones. Now, sadly, in the last adventure, we got loot none. So loot none, first off, is terrible, and I don't ever want to see loot none again. That's the saddest thing I've seen in an adventure. So we don't have anything we can sell or buy at this point. So the market is a mute point at this time. The inn is the only location that has a 4 in both the town and the city. This is where everybody can go if they want to. At the inn, we could bet florins if we want to. Again, I have 0, so I could wager 0 florins and roll 2d8 and potentially double the amount of florins I get. And last time I checked, 0 doubled is still 0. The Artisan is an awesome place to go if you're interested in crafting new equipment. And the equipment in this game, you're going to be able to find patterns and things of that nature, and you're going to be able to use those to come here and craft them based on the type of regions and florins you have. The baths are a great way to be able to get rid of any pain and agony you have from the last battle. Now, it says here that each hero can visit the bath and pay 2 florins and gain an advantage token for the next mission. Now, companions, again, cannot visit the baths, and we, again, don't have any florins to be able to bathe. So I guess we're just to remain smelly after running from one street all the way up to the next town and doing the next battle. The Mentor is the final place you can go during the rest phase, and what this does is kind of like a reset. You can spend florins to remove all the experience you have and redistribute it amongst your characters, so you get a different weapon that you'd like to use in a different way based on your skills, or you just use the skills and you're not thinking your character is playing the way you're hoping it can. You can reallocate in this particular spot. And of course, there's a whole list of things you have to follow in order to make that all happen so that you don't take advantage of the game. But it does cost money in order to do it, so do remember you have to have that when you do this particular area. All right, our characters went through the rest phase. Because I had no money, there's nothing really to do. We all just kind of rested and we moved on. Now, the one thing I do want to talk about is the abilities we have here. We have Witness Me. This was the one that was voted on by my Patreons for Valerio. He is going to have Witness Me now, which is right here. It says it's a passive at the beginning of your activation. If at least one other hero is within 3 squares of you, I gain a lucky token. And that particular token allows me to re-roll a die for the test that I just did, but I must keep the new result. Rebecca is going to gain Doe Eyes. Now, this one is the only one that my Patreons voted, and it got a complete tie. And the only reason I'm going to go with Doe Eyes is I got a great comment from Doug talking about how, Doug from Mystic Eye Games, if you don't know him, please go check it out. He is a fantastic content creator. I'll try to put a link to his channel in the description of this video. And on top of that, he is doing a playthrough of this exact game right now. So please go check out his playthrough and see how much better he did at the game than I did. Maybe he actually got loot after the first mission. I think everybody probably did. But he was telling me about how much damage she can take and she doesn't have a lot of defense. This is very true. So the options I had was Magic Step or Doe Eyes, and we went with Doe Eyes, which says right here, it's first off an education, and it takes 2 time, and I can gain a shield token. Now, one thing I do want to mention about tokens that I did wrong in the last playthrough is unless it states otherwise, you can never have more than one particular token, either a beneficial one or a negative status one. Now, that does, of course, go against everything when it comes to this card, because it actually states on the card itself if there are fewer than 3 advantage tokens. So I can gain more than that on that particular card. But in any other instance, you can never have more than one particular ailment or boon going on at one time. Next, we have Sophia. She is going to gain the Acrobatics ability, which is right here, and it states that it's a passive. You can move over squares occupied by enemies, but can't stop on them. You do not cause reaction attacks by enemies you remain adjacent to and who occupy squares into which you pass during a movement action, which is really going to help her out when it comes to moving around the board. Now, one thing I do want to mention about hers that I also did wrong in the last playthrough, and I do want to thank the entire community for helping me. I got a lot of great comments telling me how the things I did wrong and how to make sure everybody can learn this game and have a great time playing it. When it says down here lethal and it has this moon symbol, very similar to the way that the tokens are done, I actually had a die roll where I had 2 ones at one time, both having this moon symbol. So I said they both did 2 extra damage. That's false. You can only activate that once from how I understand it. On top of that, whenever you do a critical hit at any time, no matter how many hit points the person has, you do get an extra one on your hate dial here, or aggro dial, or whatever you want to call it. The Perilium, I think, is what it's really called, but I think I probably said that totally wrong, so I just called what I can to remind myself what it is. And the last character we have is Vincenzo, and again, I'm still probably pronouncing a lot of these names wrong, though I did get a lot of, again, help from the community in being able to pronounce these, but I am still absolutely terrible at pronouncing names, and I apologize continuing to go forward. He does have a new ability that was voted on by the Patreons, which is going to be Purify. Purify is going to, right here, it is a mysticism. It is a prayer to perform a willpower test. Choose a hero, you included, within a number of squares from you equal to 3 plus the number of successes I obtain on that test. Then I can discard negative status tokens of their choice, which is going to be fantastic to hopefully get rid of those bleeding tokens that I kept getting. Those were absolutely brutal. Now that we've gone through the rest phase, it's time for the travel phase. Remember, I want you to remember a number that you saw on the map. It was 3. What that means is we're going to take this deck. These are all the travel action cards that we have in the deck. And there are more based on the expansion material that you can gain. I don't have any of the expansion material mixed into this deck. We're going to draw the number that you saw on that map, which is 3, and we're going to resolve what we find. The first one says, we have found clouds on the horizon. Dark clouds are gathering in the distance. It will probably rain. You must move while you can. We'll discard this card with no effect. So we have nothing for that particular one. We'll draw our second card. We have found Peaceful Journey. Your journey proceeds smoothly. It's a beautiful day and the fresh wind caresses your face. Discard with no effect. So far we're doing, I guess, okay. We're doing bad, and not good. And the last one is Empty Road. The road runs straight ahead of you. No one crosses your path. It seems that the world is all yours. Discard with no effect. So I'm guessing some of these other ones do have effects, but we found 3 that did not. So that is the end of the travel phase, and at this point we'll move into our mission. We have our table all set up, so we're going to move right into the mission. We're going to take our cards out of our envelope here, place them down, and start with the first one. It says a burning map. It's .01. Now, of course, remember, these are the symbols that we saw in the last one, so there's nothing new changing there. We'll flip over our card. It says that we're going to need 4 of these Stradoids, 2 arquebusiers, and 1 gypsy. We also need a well, 2 houses that are 4x2, 2 houses that are 3x3. We need tiles 1, 2, 3, 4B, 4 water tokens, 9 fire tokens, 1 mystery token, and 3 mystery token generics. Here is the key that is going to help us set our map up. Our heroes are going to be here. Here's going to be the 3 different enemies, and then we're going to reveal card 1. So we'll set that up, but for recording purposes, I'm just going to move on to the next card. The next card is here. It shows us our map, where our heroes are placed, our enemies are placed, and we have our horologram. It is going to start at 5 o'clock. And it also says that the enemies are going to start on Capricorn, and our heroes are going to start on Arquebus. And we will then read 0.11. So I'll show you the board, and we'll look at our horologram, and then we'll move into the actual reading. This is a panned out view of the map. I hope you can bear with me. Sadly, I apologize. I still haven't gotten all the miniatures painted up. It's been a rather busy week here, but that's okay. I am going to also show you that I'm removing this building here to show you there is a guy standing back there. This is our setup. We have all of our heroes right here. We have our tokens. We have our mystery tokens. Now, these are pretty interesting. There are 3 that are blank, and then, of course, it did say we had 1 that had to have the symbol on it. So we have all 4 of those. I don't know what those are for yet. We'll probably find out in our reading. Our fire tokens are there, and our enemies, of course, are out on the board, and we have our cool looking 3D terrain, which really makes this game pop, which makes me super happy to be able to play this. And if I read it right, they start on Capricorn, so they're actually going to go first, which is going to be terrible. And we all are sitting at Aquarius here when it comes to our dial here, and we have started at 5 o'clock. Here we are at 0.1-1. Once in Spoleto, you immediately set out to find the inn where the herald is staying, among the narrow streets of the town. Screams draw your attention to a cloud of smoke coming from a few blocks away. You rush in that direction, emerging into a small square. Bandits are setting fire to some of the buildings, shouting threatening words in a dialect that is unfamiliar to you. A young gypsy girl appears to be leading them. The girl, barefoot, in a gaudy clothes, yells, "Come on out! I'll burn all of Spoleto if I have to! I want that darn letter!" The young woman notices you and directs 2 men armed with arquebuses to point their weapons at you. Then she moves her gaze to a house and recites a litany in an unknown language. While a ball of flame condenses in her hand, what kind of sorcery is this? It's clear that your problems aren't over. Retrieving the missive and herald won't be easy. So at this point, we're going to shuffle up the tokens, keeping the symbols on the front covered. We'll place a covered mystery token on each of the house's rooftop, and then we'll reveal card 2. Going again back to the board, and this is super panned out. Normally I am not this far panned out, but for right now we are as we're setting everything up. We have our 4 tokens here. We're going to give them a good old little truffle shuffle here and be able to put them all out on the buildings here and mix them up a little bit. There we go. And now we'll put this one here. We'll put this one over here. We got 2 more to place, 1 there and 1 there. At this point now, we'll reveal card 2. Here's card 2. It's going to be our goals card. So if there are no enemies left in the battlefield, we're going to read this particular passage. The heroes are defeat condition is if at least 3 heroes are defeated. We'll read this one. If the time reaches 8:30, we'll read this. And if 3 of the houses are destroyed, we'll be reading that particular number. Here are some of the extra actions we can take during the mission. One is that we can get water. It's going to cost us 1 time, but only if you're adjacent to a well and I don't have a water token, then I'm able to gain a water token. I can put out a fire, but only if you're adjacent to a house. That I can discard a water token and a fire token on the house you're adjacent to, then increase my beryllium by 1. The last thing I can do is I can put out flames. Again, I can discard a water token and an adjacent model discards a burned token, then increase my beryllium by 1. So I don't want to get burned. All right, I'm going to reveal card number 3 at this point, and here is the mission goals, I'm guessing, for the enemies. The arquebuster's mission goal is going to be to attack the heroes. The other enemies are going to beryllium 5 set to flames. They move to become adjacent to the closest house, which is not destroyed. If they become adjacent to it and they have at least 3 time, they spend all their time and place a fire token on it. The gypsy with a number 4 here is going to be producing arcane flames. She moves to be within 6 of the house which is not destroyed. Then if she has at least 3 times, she will spend all of her time and place fire token on the closest house which is not destroyed within 6. That's horrible. I don't want these houses burning down. We're going to go to card 4. Card 4 is another mission card. Special rules, burning houses. It is not possible to climb on the roofs of any house that is on fire during the mission. Destroyed houses. At the end of an enemy or group of enemies activation, reveal the mystery token on each house on which at least 3 fire tokens are placed. If the star symbol is shown, reveal card 5 and ignore the rest of the special rules. Otherwise, remove 3 fire tokens and turn the house upside down. An upside down house is considered destroyed. It is not possible to move through squares occupied by destroyed houses. So at this point, we'll start the mission. At this point, we will begin our activations, and it starts with the enemies in this one. So we are going to activate the person with the highest swiftness, which is going to be Gypsy. Gypsy has 6, so we're going to count her dial down to 6 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. She is going to end up right here, and she's going to perform her action based on her enemy goal. Now, her enemy goal states that if there is somebody with more than 4 on their dial, then she'll go after them. But since there is not, all of our people are at 0, she's going to perform Arcane Flame, which she'll move to be within 6 of the house that is not destroyed. So at this point, she will not move. She is 2 spaces from this and 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces from the other building. Remember, everything is counted orthogonally in this game. At this point, she'll see if she has 3 time left. She certainly does. So she'll place a flame token on top of that building. That will end her activation, and we'll move into the next enemy group. And the next one will be these enemies right here. They have a 5, so that is the second highest number on their group. So this one will move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember, no matter what the activation is, they will always use every part of their swiftness during their activation. We'll activate each one of these individually, and since again I don't have anybody with at least 5 hate or threat or anything like that, we are going to set to flames. They'll move to become adjacent to the closest house, which he already is. At this point, he will spend at least 3 time, if he has it, to put a flame token on the house, which then places another one here. I honestly have no idea how you would ever prevent that house from burning down when you've got a witch and this character here burning it to the ground. Next, we have this tricky character here. He's going to move up 1, and he will put a flame token onto this building. Our next one is here. He'll move 1, 2, and he still has 3 left because he has a total of 5 time. So that gives him enough to be able to put a flame token on that building. And some of you may notice I actually had the wrong model there first. I think I had one of the arquebusters down here, and it should have been one of him. Last but not least, this person will move over here and also place a flame token onto this building right there. All right, Italy is burning. It is time to activate this character. He'll move 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 down there. He has a 4 swiftness here. He also is not going to be setting things to fire. His goal is to attack heroes. So he will attack the hero with the highest threat. All of them are at 0, so he will go after the closest one. They are going to attack at a range of 2 to 6. It's going to cost them 3 time, so they are able to do that. They are going to do 2 damage, and I need a 7+ to prevent it. The hero they will be attacking is him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They are within 6, so both of them are going to make an attack against that character. We'll roll up our dice. I need a 7+ in order to block this damage coming in. I was able to block 1 there. We'll roll our second set of dice, and I was able to block 2 more. Oh, so only took 1 damage. Now, sadly, this does have Pierce, so I've got to deal with it. I do get to give them both these reload tokens here because they do have reload too after they make this attack. I got this fantastic new dice tray from my wife. She was able to buy this for me, and she picked it up from my good friends Steve and Kim Kingsley. Kim is a woodworker, and she makes awesome dice trays and fantastic woodworking materials. If you're interested in anything she does, I'll put a link to all of the stuff she has available in the description. I'll put her web address and her email address as well. So if you want to pick up something, please do it. And I'm, of course, getting no kickback from this. I'm just trying to support 2 of my dear friends. We'll gain 1 damage on Valerio here, and he also is going to get a heroic point. Whenever he takes damage, he gains 1. And when he gets to 3, he gets to do a massive attack. Before we move into our turn, I do have to move this guy 1 space because the keyword that he has, he tries to use any extra movement he has. He's going to try to move away from all of the enemies so that they can't get to him. Now, sadly, this is really about the farthest he can possibly get from anybody, so he's stuck in that position. It is now going to be our turn to activate, and we're going to start with Vincenzo. He is going to activate first. He's probably going to move 2 and then activate an ability that he has. He's going to move 1, 2 up here, and I lied. He's also going to use 1 action to grab a bucket of water, and then he's going to use his ability to try to heal him. To do this, I have to roll my willpower and test, and I need to get a 5+. I got 1. That's all I needed. For every success I have, I can heal a wound off a character that is 1 space away from me. So we're able to get that wound healed, and that's going to be the end of his turn. Next, we're going to activate Valerio. He is going to move 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces, and that's all he's going to do on his turn. But before he does move, I get to gain a lucky token because there's somebody within 3 spaces of me, and I'm going to use my Witness Me. And I also get a shield token at the start of my activation. If there's no shield token, I gain that. Also, before we move, I do have to raise this dial. There's something, that's another thing I did wrong in my last playthrough. I have to raise it every time I heal somebody. He is going to charge 1, 2, 3, 4 straight that way. Hopefully it's a good plan. Not sure if it is. We shall see. The next person we're going to activate is Rebecca. She's going to 1, 2, 3 take an attack with her arcane arrow. Her arcane arrow can fire 6 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which can hit this character. We're going to try to take this guy down, hopefully saving that building. I get to roll 4 dice to see if we're able to activate this, and I've got only 1, and this one is cocked. 2, I got 2 of the actual symbols, and we also get to inflict an extra 1 for the moon symbol. So we did 3 damage. 2 is going to activate the spell, causing the 2 damage, and then I get +1 for each moon symbol. So that's 3 damage to that guy right off the bat. That was absolutely fantastic. I'm going to put the 3 right there. Then she's going to move 2, 1, 2 to right there. She's not going to grab a bucket yet. I got a plan. I get to gain 1 on my heroic points for casting a spell, and I get 1 on my Perilium. Next is Sophia's turn. She's going to move 1, 2, 3, and she's going to activate her throwing knives. Oh, I do have to move this 2 more spaces, 1, 2, because I decided to move with her as well. And her goal is to take this guy out. She's going to move up 1, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, I can make that attack. I have 3 dice, and I forgot to bring this guy in for the last attack. I needed a 5+ in order to hit him, but I got 2 8s, so I knew that was going to hit. So I need to get 6 pluses on this, and I got 2 6 pluses. The 2 is not going to help me. It's not the moon, but that's okay. That's 2 damage. He only has 5, so we have eliminated our first enemy. Since she hit and did damage, she's going to gain 1 heroic point. On top of that, she's going to gain 2, 1 for killing the enemy and 1 for causing damage. At this point, I'm going to use the remaining two action points I have to move right there, and that's going to be the end of her turn. We'll move into the next set of people's turns, which is going to be him. He's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4 down here. The first thing both of those characters are going to do is spend 2 time to get rid of their reload tokens. Now it does take 3 in order to activate it again, to be able to shoot again, so they can't. So he's going to move 1, 2 because he's still going to try to get as far away from the enemies, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and still be able to take a shot next turn. He, on the other hand, if he moves 2 spaces, he's still in the equal space, so I believe he's just going to stay there. He could move here. I don't think it's going to matter too much. He's going to take a shot at me next turn, and there's nothing I can really do about it. At this point, they're going to use 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to swiftness to activate second, and they're going to start all these buildings on fire. The first enemy we have is this guy over here. He's going to spend all of his time to set that building on fire. This one is going to do the same thing back there. And finally, this one will place a third fire token right there. Now that that enemy group has finished its activation, I am going to have to destroy this house. When have at least 3 fire tokens on it, at the end of the enemy activation, that these are all going to disappear. This house is going to be destroyed, and I'm going to flip over this token and see what it is. It is nothing, so there's nothing there. I will flip this building upside down to show that it is destroyed. Before we activate our next person, I do want to mention I forgot that I had destroyed an enemy, so we do gain the loot that that enemy has. Now we don't actually get to keep it potentially, but I get to put one of these into my loot stack, so that is in there. We're going to spend 3 time to make an attack, 1, 2, 3, targeting the gypsy. I am going to try to take her down, or at least do some damage to her. I get to roll 4 dice, and I need a 4+ in order to affect her. I got an 8, a 6, a 7, a 3 does not hit, but I am going to use that lucky token that I have to reroll our die. Oh, I got a 1, so that didn't hit. So I did do 3 damage. That's a critical hit, which means I am going to take 2 on my Perilium here. It's still not enough to get the attention of these enemies, but at least I'm getting closer. The gypsy will activate next. We'll move her token 6 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And at this point, she is still going to be starting things on fire, even though she got attacked huge, because the amount of threat that our characters have is not enough to to change her activation. She's still going to do arcane flames. And of course, this building right here is 1, 2, 3, 4 squares away, so that's within 6. So she is going to put a fire token on it. She is going to destroy this building. I don't know, I'm going to win this. We'll flip over our token. It is nothing, so that means nothing happens. And we will flip this building over. Why not? We just destroy the whole building. There we go. Boom, right there. Building destroyed. Actually, I like it better like that because now we can see what is behind the building. That was absolutely awesome. All right, that building has been destroyed. It is going to be our turn. We'll move our little dial here, and then I'm going to activate Sophia first. She gets 5 activations. She's going to move 2 to right there, and then she is 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces away from there. She'll be able to see him with the line of sight rules, so we're going to take an attack at him with the knives. This guy has a 6 that I need to break through, and I get 3 dice to do it. Let's see how we do. I got a 7 and a 5. I hit 1 time, but I did get to activate my deadly, which means I do 2 damage to him. We'll move her up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right to there. Next, we're going to activate Rebecca, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She's also going to do 5. But before I do, I am going to tick this up 1. And this says if you inflict at least 10 wounds by the end of the mission during the next rest phase, I get to complete this. I've actually done 3. I've done 1, 2, and then 3, 4. I've done 4, so I'm going to put the die at 4. I decided to start using dice. It's probably the best plan. Rebecca is going to move up 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. She's 6 spaces away. She's going to use her arcane arrow again. Our arcane arrow gives us 4 dice to try to success seed at this thing. I've got my 2 successes right there. I only need a 5, and I got the moon symbol again, which means I'm able to inflict the extra damage. So we did 3 points of damage, being able to take that guy out as well. She successfully casted a spell. She's going to gain 1 heroic point, 1 point towards her dice. She's going to gain 2 on her Perilium, and that's all she's going to get. I did forget to give Sophia her 1 heroic point, so I did that as well. We'll remove this enemy from the board. We're going to gain another treasure to put in our loot pile, and then I'm going to activate him. He's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces. He's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right there, so next turn he can throw his bucket of water on that and hopefully get rid of one of these fire tokens then. We'll move our dial up a little bit, and this person is going to activate next. Actually, I lied. He's going to activate because his swiftness is more than the enemy's. If there's ever a tie, then the enemy goes first. He's going to attack the gypsy. 1, 2, 3. He gets to roll 4 dice to see if he can break through the 4 defense there. He got a total of 3 damage, which is enough to kill her because she only has 6 health. This is going to be good and bad. I'm going to get 1 for doing damage, 1 for getting a critical hit, and 1 for killing her, bringing his total to 5. He's also going to get some treasure for defeating this enemy. He doesn't get any heroic points because his heroic points have to do with taking damage. I am going to gain 4 of these Alchema regens. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll put that into our loot pile and we'll continue on with our game. Of course, that means these guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, are going to fire next. She's dead. I'm going to remove her token from the board. Both arquebuses are going to take a shot at him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this one is obviously close enough to take the shot. And then after that, they're both going to gain 1 of these reload tokens. And they're going to stay where they are because he still is at max range. And moving here, or here is really not going to help him very much. I could be controlling this guy wrong. And if I am, I apologize. But I think he's just going to stay there because moving in any direction is still not going to get him farther from his actual target. We'll try to block all of that damage. I get to roll 4 dice to see if we can get a 7+. We only got 1, but I do have my shield token, which prevents 1 damage. And even though it has pierce, that token is still going to be able to help me. We're going to roll our second and see if we can block more. We did get 2 7s, so we actually took no damage. That was absolutely fantastic. Both of these gunners have been hitting or not. I've been able to deflect all the attacks coming in. It feels super cool. At this point, we're going to move into this enemy here. He's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down the line here, and we'll see what he's going to do. The first one is right here, and they have their goal, which is 5 or with 5 threat, set flames. They've become adjacent to the closest house. Now, interestingly enough, our character over here now has 5 threat. So he equals or exceeds the amount of threat that is a mission goal. So at this point, the mission goal for that particular enemy is going to change. The change is now going to be attack that hero. With one of them having more than the goal, they're going to switch to the attack the character with the highest threat. And if tied, we'll choose the closest one. Now, this is the only one that has the highest threat, so that is going to be our person. Then we have to see if they can attack the target with this activation. And no, the answer is no, because it's going to cost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 just to be adjacent to that character in order to make the attack, leaving no more time left for it to make the attack. So at this point, the goal is actually going to change to attack the closest hero. Now, the closest hero is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares to him, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares to him. So the closest hero is with the most threat is still our character over here. So that is the character it's going to go to. So he is going to move the minimum distance necessary to reach that target, which is going to be all of his movement, all 5 to move right over there. And when I do that, I'm going to switch out my miniature so I have the fully painted one here because that makes things super cool. At this point, I don't have any time left to be able to activate the attack, so he is going to end. The same is going to be true with this character, 1, 2, 3 over to there, leaving him with only 2 time, and he needs 3 in order to make the attack, so he can't make his attack. His turn will also end. I am a little worried moving this way because we have 4 enemies now that are attacking Valario, so I'm hoping he can hold up in time to get the rest of the troops up there to help. We're going to start with him. He's going to make an attack, 1, 2, 3, and see if he can do some damage to one of the enemies. The target for our character is going to be right here. I'm going to shoot at the painted one. And by shoot, I mean hit him with my giant sword. So he has a defense of 6, or a target number of 6 that I have to reach with my sword. Let's see how we do. I got a total of 2 damage on him, which will raise my threat to 6. And on top of that, I'm going to gain a shield token onto my character because it is his turn of activation. And we'll move on to our next character. At this point, I am going to activate, I think we'll activate Rebecca. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She's going to use all of her movement. She's going to move 1, 2 to right here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. She can attack that character with her arcane arrow at a range of 6. Looking at our defense value of 5, I'm going to roll my mind stat and see how we do here. I got 1, 2. That's still only 2 2 successes, which is enough to activate the arrow. It's going to do 2 damage. I did not get a moon symbol, so I do not get to do any extra damage. This enemy has 4 damage on him, meaning I only need to do 1 more damage. Rebecca did do a spell, so she's at 3, and this also moves up to 3 for casting a successful spell. She only needs 1 more heroic point in order to activate her heroic action, Curse of the Black Rose. The only 2 left are just going to move. They can't actually do anything else. So we're going to move them 1, 2, 3 spaces. I have a plan. And the reason I'm doing that is he has the same swiftness as all of our characters, so if I'm ever in the same space, that will activate first. But if I stop a little bit behind them, I'll be able to do something before they activate, and it is a legal move because I am in front of at least 1 other enemy that is going to activate. So I'm going to move both of those characters 3 spaces. First, we'll move Sophia, 1, 2, 3, and then we'll move him. I was thinking about using his water token on this, but there are on this building over here. But since there are now changing their attack pattern to actually attack our characters, there's no need to worry about the buildings anymore. So I'm going to move him 1, 2, 3, and I've thought about this. I think just moving him 4 or 5 is probably my best action because he's going to use all of his movement time because moving him up to here isn't really going to help because the only thing I think he's going to have to be able to do is try to heal this guy. I think he's going to get totally attacked this turn. And so I need to get him up here 1, 2, 3 in order to be able to help him. And I need to get him there as fast as possible. It is now the Arquebuster's turn. They're going to move 1, 2, 3, 4 down this. And from how I understand it, they are again just going to remove their tokens. And they're going to try to attack the person with the most threat. The most threat is going to be Valerio. They don't have any activations left because they need to spend 3 time in order to do it. It takes 2 to get the reload token removed. So they're going to move 2 spaces away from him, but they're already at max range, or the movement themselves isn't going to help get them farther away from the target. So at this point, I'm going to activate her. She's going to use 1 movement to move there, 2 movements to move here, and then attack 1, 2, 3 with her throwing knives using all 5 of her swiftness. We'll move that down on this dial. But before we do, we have to swing this, and since it gets to there, it is now 6, and we're going to swing over to here, use 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She'll use her knives again, rolling a 3+ to attack. I need a 6. Oh my gosh, look at that. I did 3 damage, which is sadly going to be a critical hit, and I only needed to do 1 damage to this guy. This guy has taken max damage, so he is dead. I'm going to replace him with that guy, and we're going to gain 1 of our loot cards here to put it with our loot stack, and I'm going to gain some hate and a whole bunch of other things. Our heroic action will go up by 1. I'm going to gain 3 on this, 1 for doing damage, 1 for killing him, and 1 for doing a critical hit. And I did 3 damage as well to this, so this is going to go to a 7. I only had 1 damage left though, but I still believe I did 3 damage. If I'm wrong about that, please let me know in the comments section below. And of course, please check the pinned comment section of this video if you're looking for any rules arrows post-launch. The community has done a very good job in helping me make sure that we are showing the best playthrough we can. And of course, errors may happen. And please check the pinned comments for anything post-launch that I may have done wrong that you can learn from. I don't think he's going to be able to kill anybody, but he can at least attack 1, 2, 3. These poor guys sadly can't catch a break. They're just being attacked mercilessly. I got 2 damage onto this character. I did not break through the 6 with the other 2 dice, so he'll take 2. And with Valerio, that just means he's going to gain 1 on his Beryllium. In the immortal words of Jar Jar Binks, we're going to move this, and it is now ouch time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This character is going to attack Valerio. It is finally time for him to do something. He's going to do 4 damage to me. I'm going to try to block it with a 5+. I do have 4 dice I can use. I was able to block 2 of them, meaning that 2 damage is going to get through, and I'm going to gain a bleeding token. Actually, I am super lucky. I don't take any damage because I'm going to be able to use this first because those enemies do not have pierce, and my shield token will block the other incoming damage, meaning I took nothing. That actually went a lot better than I expected it to. It is our turn next, and our swiftness is more than the enemy's, so we do get to activate first. I'm going to activate him. He's going to move 1, 2, 3 spaces. And then she is going to move 1 and then use her spell 1, 2, 3 to there. We'll do both of those at the same time. And for you, obviously we normally don't do that, but for recording purposes, it's easier to do it here first, then go to the board. I'm going to probably be needing to heal 1, 2, 3 over to here. I think that's what I decided to do. Yep, and then he can get to healing him next turn if he gets hit, which is probably going to happen. She is going to move up 1. It's off camera, I apologize, but then she is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces away from there, so she can use a spell and try to hit this guy. Our Arquebuster is similar to all the other ones. I need a 5 in order to hit him with this. Now, of course, I need to get 2 successes here in order for it to happen. And I did it on 3 dice, even though the other one fell out. It doesn't really matter what this dice is. Oh my gosh, I got lots of them. Now, even though you get 3 successes, it doesn't mean it adds extra damage. You just need to get the amount of successes to trigger the spell. The spell has been triggered, which means I'm going to do 2 damage. And I got the moon symbol, which means I do 3 damage. And with a spell, damage is never going to be critical. So it is still only going to gain 1 on my Perilium based on the attack. So I'll gain 1 on my heroic track. And being able to allow me to activate my heroic action, I did damage, so I'm going to go to this 4 on here. This is going to go to a 4, but I think this is a moot point because I believe I only need to cast 3 spells on a single mission. So that's the end of her activation. The Arquebusters will go next at 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're going to do a shot on him, and then they're going to get their reload tokens. And after that, they're not going to move again because they are at the best position they can be without being next to that target. They just keep on shooting him over and over again. Sadly, my defenses are down. I do not have my shield token, so I'm not going to be able to block too much of this. I was able to stop nothing, so I'm going to take 2 damage. That's not good. So I have taken 2. We'll roll for our second one and see how that goes. I was able to block 1, so I have taken 3 damage this time. Sadly, my luck is not holding up anymore. We'll gain 3 damage. I only have 5, which means if I take 2 more, I'm dead, which is going to be no good. And once you do fall in this game, you're going to start getting injury cards whenever you activate. That's how the game progresses. And you can get rid of injuries, of course, during the resting phase if you can. I am going to gain a heroic point because I did take damage. At this point, we'll move this over, and it is his turn. He's going to attack 1, 2, 3, just the guy next to him. Hopefully, we'll be able to take him out for good. I do need a 6 in order to get him, so we will attack. I got 1 damage through, and that brings him to 3 health. I'm going to go up 1 on my Perilium to 8, so we have now 8 of that, and I also gain my shield token because I activated during this turn. At this point, we're going to move into his turn next. He is going to move 1 space up, and then he is going to attempt to heal our character. What we're going to do is I have 4 left. I'm going to gain a Bless token first, and I'm going to use that Bless token. And what that does is it's going to allow me to lower the threshold I need to make a successful activation here. So I'm going to use 2 time on this. I'm going to roll 3 dice because that is my willpower. Sorry, it's mind, not willpower. So many games with almost the same type of stuff. I'm going to use 3 dice. That is my stat. I need only a 4+ in order to make this happen now. Now, I didn't have to use a Blessed token. I got lots of good stuff. 1, 2, 3. I'm able to heal him for every success that I have, which is awesome because now he's back to full power, and I'm going to gain 1 for healing him. And I also gain 1 towards my heroic point. And this goes by the end of a single mission, you make the other heroes discard a total of 5 damage. So he's up to 4 on the helping them discard damage. He'll need to heal 1 more person, and then life is glorious. Now, of course, the sad thing is I'm totally failing on this one because this one says if you're finished the mission with at least 3 damage on your hero sheet, I can go to the next thing. But it's hard because I don't really want him to have damage because he's just keep getting blasted by everything. Next is Sophia. She's going to move 1 and then attack 1, 2, 3. She'll move 1 over, and then she has a clean line right to that guy. 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, hit him with knives. All I have to do is 2 damage to this guy, and we're going to be able to take him out. I only get to roll 3 dice. There's my 2 damage already. So I did the 2 damage. This guy is dead. I'm going to gain 1 on my Perilium, going up to 7 for hitting him, and then killing him. I get another one, which is 8. So I am now tied with Valario again. On top of that, I get 1 more heroic point, and I get to go up to an 8 on this thing here. Oh, I get to go to 9. I did 2 damage. And now I think about it, I probably should have done my heroic action. I had enough to be able to do. Oh, no, now I have enough to do it, which is going to be super good. I also am able to gain 1 of my rewards for killing off that guy. There are only 2 enemies left on the board, and we get to go before them. So I think we're going to start with him. He's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. He's going to move 1 and attack. Let's move him 1 space up, and then we're going to make that attack. I need a threshold of 6 in order 5. I mean, in order to do any damage, we'll roll our 4 dice. I did get 3 hits on him, so that is a critical hit. So I'm going to go from 8 to 9, 10 on my dial. Next is Rebecca. She's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have a plan. This is probably not the best plan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She's going to move right over here. If I get everything right, I am going to hit him with my heroic action next time it activates her. Now, one thing I may have been doing wrong that I apologize for is this character does have his sword and it causes tackle. And I've been thinking this is a if you want to do it maneuver, but I believe from what it sounds like, this is something I have to do. And if I'm wrong about that, please let me know in the comments below. But what tackle does is after I am able to successfully attack a character, then I must, it says must in the rule book, so it says that I must perform a force movement of 1 square to move away from the attacking model if possible. So this one, if I was like this, it would move 1 space away and I would make a dash to come up next to it. Now a dash of course doesn't cause reaction attacks or anything like that. Now this attack in particular he can't because he would hit this building, so he'd have to stay there. But I may be wrong, please let me know in the comments below, but a tackle does say that I must do it. So I think I should have been doing that during this game, and I apologize for missing that rule. At this point, they're going to arquebuses are going to activate 1, 2, 3, 4 up to the Capricorn position. And all they're going to do is get rid of their reload tokens and move up to get to their range of this enemy, because that is the one that is the most, has the most threat, I guess you could say. Wow, I took him out with the dial. That was a pretty good dial. Got him real good. They have 10, so he is going to now be able to move 1, 2 away because it would get him farther from that target. Though, of course, that's going to put him right in line with her. 1, 2, 3. I think she's going to attack. 1, 2, 3, 4. She's going to have to move 1 in order to do that. So we're going to put myself right there. At this point, she's going to move 1 up. 1, 2, 3, 4. She's able to target that person with her knives. And of course, he's already taken 3 damage. I need a 5+ in order to activate him, and I have enough to do my heroic action, but all the heroic action does is allows me to hit another target with the same attack. So we're just going to roll our dice and see how we do. I got a total of 2 damage through, which is going to move up my heroic actions, but it doesn't matter because there's only 1 guy on the board pretty soon. I'm pretty sure this guy's going to fall. I'm going to gain 1 there. This goes up to a 10, and it can't get any higher, so we're just going to leave it right there. Otherwise, I would add more, but just says I need to do 10 damage. And now I'm going to have him go. Vincenzo is going to go 1, 2, 3, making an attack with his sensor. I don't think I've ever used it. I think I've used it once so far. He only has 3 physique, so he needs a 5+ in order to hit this guy. He did hit him a couple times, which is enough to take him out. So he's going to go up 2 on this to 4, 1 for hitting him and 1 for killing him. I'm going to gain 2 red things here per Pensunia. I'm terrible at that. I can't even say anything in this game. That guy has met his end. And with 1 more, I am going to move over to there, and that is going to be the end of his activation. And we'll move into Valerio, and all that Valerio is going to do is just use all 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to come running over to this guy. Sorry, it's a little off screen up in the corner, but we'll move his token 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down the dial. This will then move into his turn next. He's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4 and try to shoot somebody. I just noticed I made a grave error. I am not moving him 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's actually going to move 1 over to there. That way, and then he's going to do a wait. And then he's going to move 1 on the track because I want this guy to move up. If I were to move towards him, he's going to run back behind this building and take a shot at me. And it's going to be impossible for my guys to get to him. So he's actually going to move there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's going to have to step up in order to shoot. That's the best plan. So I'm only going to use 1 activation for him. So moving back to here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm only going to move 1, and there's nothing else to activate up here, so I'm just going to move this guy 1, 2, 3, 4 up now, and if I do ever do anything again, now remember I have to get to the next enemy on the track here, but from where he was, that was the only enemy left, he hadn't activated yet, so I could really kind of put myself wherever I want to, give myself an advantage here in order to take him out. This guy is going to do 2 damage to me. I get to roll 4 physique. Let's see how I do. I was able to block 1 and my shield blocks the other one, meaning I am going to take no damage from the arquebuser. This arquebuser is going to take 1 reload token, and then that's really going to be about all he can do. I think he has 1 more action left. And he's not going to move because he's still going to stay within range of that character. And at this point, I am going to swing this over to here, meaning it is now 7 o'clock. And we have until 8:30 to finish this mission, so I think we're doing okay. I'm going to start with Rebecca. She's going to move 1, 2, and then she's going to do her heroic attack. 1, 2, 3. Could barely say anything. And that's going to cost me 4 action point or 4 points, or my heroic action points, bringing my total back down to 0. And I'm going to be taking 3 time in order to do this. I can attack somebody 1 to 5 spaces away, and he is 5 spaces, and I get to add 4 dice to this roll. So I actually get to roll 8 dice when making this attack. And I'm going to be looking for 5 pluses. I need 2 to activate this ability, which is going to do 3 damage. Now, for every star I see on the dice, I'm going to inflict an extra one. It's for each star, so it's not going to happen just once like the lethal does. So we're going to roll all these dice, and we need a 5 plus in order to activate this thing. I got an 8 and a 6. Those are both going to activate this. Now we're going to look for any star symbols. I've got 1, 2 star symbols there. So that attack did a total of 3, 4, 5 damage. He has 1 left. At this point, Valerio is going to activate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and he is going to move all 5 spaces. Being super sneaky tricky, I am going to use Sophia next. She's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have a plan with her. She's going to come 1, 2, 3, 4. I think she's going to stop right there. She's going to hide behind this building, and she's going to shoot at that guy in case he comes down this way. The next person to activate is going to be Viencio. I really don't know what to do with him. He will move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as well. He's just going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're kind of caging that guy in a little bit, I guess. I don't know. I feel super bad for this guy. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's going to remove his token from his reload token here. And then he's going to move 2 spaces away from his enemy, which isn't really going to help him. And then we'll swing this all the way around, and these 2 get to go next. I'm going to have Valerio go. He's going to move 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3 to make an attack with his sword. We'll move right to there and see if we can finish this guy. I only need 1 success in order to hit this guy, and I got 3, so I actually got a critical hit, and he's dead, so I'd have gone up 3, putting myself at 13 threat, which doesn't really matter because we were able to destroy all the people on the board. So at this point, we are going to go to 0.1-4. I'm also going to gain 2 more loot because we were able to take that guy out. Swift and lethal. You have eliminated or forced all the bandits to flee. It seems obvious to you that the Cardinal struck a good deal by hiring you for this task. The powers of that gypsy woman, however, unnerved you. Was this perhaps a trick? Was it sorcery? What forces are really at play in this story? The Cardinal's herald, shaken and covered with ashes, interrupts your thoughts. He comes up to you trembling, embraces you, and thanks you. He claims to have been on the run from those shady characters for at least 2 days. He has no idea who they are, but he knows 2 things for certain. They were looking for the same letter as you, and they were willing to set fire to half the neighborhood to get him to come out. He suspects that they were hired by Venice. After completing his story, he takes on a formal air, tries in vain to wipe some soot off his jacket and breeches, soothes his hair, puffs up his chest, and tells you, I officially hand you the missive from Cardinal Edigo de Vitbro. You are requested to open it for further instructions. My task here ends. Confused, you render the sealed leather tube he hands you, but the man refuses, or is unable to offer you further information. He seems to deflate, and you can still read the fear in his face. It's clear that he doesn't want to do anything else about this situation. He thanks you again and bids you farewell before disappearing into the smoke-filled alleys. Here are rewards. The party gets to draw a reward. For each house that is not destroyed, there are 2 not destroyed houses, so we get 2 of these to add to our collection. On top of that, I get to gain 2 experience points, which we are going to be able to use to level up our characters. I'll make sure to put a poll in my Patreon for those that are interested in deciding how our game unfolds here. We get to keep all the loot this time. Eat that, mission 1. And at this point, I'm going to perform a rest phase in Spoleto, which I believe is just a town. It is not a city. And then we'll start mission 0.2, the Blood of Gia in Spoleto, without performing the travel phase. Here is all the loot that we gained. So let's take a look and see what we have found. We've found metal. We have found 3 florins, more metal, more 3 florins, more 3 florins, and more 3 florins. We got lots of florins. I'm pretty excited about that. Here we have ourselves 3 of the same type of herb and some some wood. And here we have mercury, the philosopher's stones, another mercury, and sulfur. So we have a lot of different resources now that we can use during the rest phase to be able to craft some new items. If you think you have an idea of what to do with any of these, I haven't looked into what we can craft, but those that have played the game may have some ideas of what to maybe craft with some of the stuff that we have. Please feel free to leave that in the comments in the video. So there you have it. That is the end of this mission. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell symbol so you know when more videos come out. We're going to be continuing this going into the rest phase. Like I said, we'll have to craft maybe some cool gear or get some new items of some kind. We do get to advance a couple of our destinies. Both Sophia and Rebecca were able to complete their destiny cards, so we'll move into the second ones of those in the next video. On top of that, I do have 2 experience points that I have to spend for our characters, or of course we could save it if we wish to. Also, if you did enjoy the video, don't forget to leave something in the comments below. I would love to hear from everyone. If you're interested in supporting the channel, the link for my Patreon is located in the video description as well. Those that are part of the Patreon not only get to help us decide how our characters go moving forward, but they also get to watch these playthroughs usually about a day or 2 early without commercial interruptions. Those that have joined the Patreon are located here on the screen. Thank you so much for your patronage. It does mean the world to me. And we're going to be moving into the rest phase. Then there is no travel phase for the next mission, but we will be going into the next mission coming up very soon. And if you're excited to see more of what our characters can do in this great Italian Renaissance game, then I need you to meet me at the table.